Okay, good morning. Today's day 4 after my left knee meniscus surgery, and I'm trying to do a little something every day. And what I have here today is a yew stave that a friend Marko got from British Columbia. And we're going to make a bow. We're going to try and make a bow out of this for Christine, another friend, Christine Pizzini. We're going to try and make a lighter weight bow. But as you can see, when I got this stave and looked at it, you got some really severe knots here, and you can see it in the back of the wood here. It's not that thick. We have some knots on the side. So, and then the other end here of this stave is splitting. However, it's splitting lower, and it's got a crack on the side here, same side that the knots are on. So I should be able to make a bow at it. This will be the limb ends, you know. It's like 78 inches. So if I can make a 68-inch bow, that's pretty good. 70-inch bow. The thing is, I have to, this is the straight edge, the opposite side of the knots, and I'm gonna have to trim this. I gotta trim these knots out to actually see what I'm dealing with. You know, see what I'm dealing with. And the bow, the goal weight for this particular bow is only going to be 35 pounds. Okay, it's going to be a 35-pound bow. So I think I did a little research, and with yew, see, I'm only started this bow building stuff in December, and I always research different woods and stuff. And yew is like in the hemlock family. It's a poisonous. Could be poisonous. You really have to ingest it. So when you're cutting or you're sanding, you should wear a mask. You should be careful of the particles. You don't want to get these particles in your eyes and your lungs. So always wear your mask. You know, I have masks, I have goggles. And the other thing is, like, after I cut this out, you know, I cut these knots out just to see what I got. On the bandsaw, I'm gonna just cut them off and see what I got. When I go to vacuum out that bandsaw, I'm gonna be careful with the dust particles too and clean them out today. All right, I'm trying to do something every day since I had this surgery to keep moving, and it's working. You know, I ice it a lot, I keep it moving. I think I'm doing better than most. At day 4, I'm walking around pretty good. So, that's it. I just wanted to talk to you about this. Is the first time I'm going to be using a yew stave to make a bow out of. And today was the evaluation day. I'm evaluating it, and I'm going to cut some of these knots off to see what I'm dealing with. And after I clean it up a little bit and look at it, I'm hoping that at some point, depending where these knots are and all, I could put this in the handle section maybe or something, and make a bow out of it. All right, so more to be continued. Whenever you make a bow, you know, mask, check out the wood, see if maybe there's allergens, something that you have to be wary of, all right? And I'll post pictures after I trim it up and see what I got. Okay, so I put a snap line on this just to see where the layout would be with the knots. And what I decided was, because of the cracks and everything else, I'm going to use the draw knife just to take it down, make it a little narrower. And the one thing I didn't mention about yew is really nice is that there's sapwood. The sapwood is the backing on these bows. And they say that you should leave anywhere like a third of the bow to 1/8 of an inch of sapwood on this. And that'll be the backing of the bow. Neighbor just went by away too. But so anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the draw knife to narrow this, and I'm not going to take off the bark to the sapwood yet. I just want to see where I'm going to lay it out, okay? So I'm going to thin it. That's going to be somewheres in the handle, that big giant knot in the middle. And I think we're going to get it to work out, but I'm going to use the draw knife to take it down, make it a little narrower, okay? So what I do is I put this horse that I have, and I ratchet strap it to the trailer. So as I'm pulling, I get wood off. It don't wiggle. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to secure this and start taking down wood. Okay, I laid down the chalk line. I laid down the chalk line, and on the bandsaw I just narrowed this edge a little bit. And what I'm going to do is on these yew staves, the backing on the bow is actually the sapwood, and you want to be careful not to go down too deep. On the finished bow, you want to leave, from what I understand, up to 1/3 sapwood, and that's the backing. All right, and you know, this way the bow has good compression and good tension. Okay, the sapwood has good tension, the belly has good compression. And now that I took that big piece off, I'm going to gently start using a draw knife and trying to take out some of this bark and see what the sapwood looks like. And once I do that, then I'll reevaluate it and see where I got to lay it out. Now it's only going to be a 35-pound bow, so when I at the ends, the sapwood may have to be tapered down, and like I said, I'll worry about that after I get the layout. You know, when I start tillering it, and I'll see. I could always remove a little bit of sapwood, you know, when I lay out the bow. If I see that there'll be not enough hardwood or belly wood on the ends of the limbs, because I've got, the goal is 35-pound bow. All right, but I'll clean it up. We'll get to the sapwood. I'll lay it out and show you. Okay, remember, if you're cutting or sanding, wear a mask with this wood. This is the first yew stave I ever worked on, and I got to be honest, I'm liking the way the sapwood is underneath, and how the bark is coming off. And once I finish taking this off and I lay it out, then I can plan on how rough the thickness of the sapwood should be in proportion to the limbs too. You know, you don't want all sapwood at the end of your limb, however long you make the bow. You know, you still want to keep some sapwood for the backing, but you don't want it all sapwood, obviously. You want that hardwood underneath. But look, I'm liking the way it's looking. Look how it's coming off, nice and smooth and beautiful. Look, so far I'm very happy with this. I'm just a little worried about these cracks. Hopefully I can lay the limbs out in between these cracks that are here. And I got to make sure that this big ugly knot here is in the handle area. But looks like it's going to be doable. A lot more to go. But I'm liking it. Okay, this whole side here, we got to take in a little bit. So we're going to take it with the draw knife and see what we get. And whenever we take this side in, I look at the growth rings on the end. And, you know, I want to kind of make sure that I'm taking it down the right way. Okay, I won't bore you with me cleaning it up a little bit. I'm going to taper it down towards the knot here, get rid of this knot. And then I'm going to check out and run a line down and see where I got to lay out the bow. But so far, I'm really liking this. Okay, I laid it out, and rough layout, and I used the draw knife on the side so I could establish an edge with the sapwood. And I'll have to, once I trim it, I was using the draw knife a little, but I'm going to use the bandsaw just to trim it a little neater. And then what I have to do is I have to even out the sapwood with the ends sapwood all along. So that's going to take a lot of time. I'll have to draw a line in the sapwood and make it all like about 1/8 of an inch. And that's going to be the longest part of it, I think. But because of these knots, I didn't want to tear grain, and I'm going to use the bandsaw just to trim it up a little bit. And we're going to see what we got. So, but it's looking good. I think it's going to be, we're going to make something out of it. I don't know, hopefully it's a bow and not firewood, but we're going to make something out of it. Well, I got a rough layout here on this bow, and I really avoided the knots. And the handle section will have this in it, which is fine. And it does have a twist that I'll have to straighten out, which is no problem. I'm kind of an expert on twisting, straightening out twisted bows now by now with the staves. But it's looking good. And now what I'm going to do is clean up everything. My neighbor going by. Clean up everything. And I'm going to go, I think I'm going to empty my shop vacs, and then I'm going to go inside and put ice on my knee, because like I said, this is day 4 of my surgery, but I really haven't been putting too much pressure on the knee. I've been doing all upper body, you know, trimming and scraping and all. But the next thing with this is, since the back of the bow, like backing, you know how like a rawhide back the bows, the sapwood is the back. So you see down here on the end where the end of the limbs are, it's like probably like 1/8 or a little less. Well, I gotta make all of this, either tape it down a little bit. See, that's nice. That's like nice on the end. You see, that's like 1/8. There'll be enough wood, right? I have to make it even, okay? Up here it's a little thicker. I may have to take it down a little bit. And once I get it down, so it's got a nice even backing, I could probably shape it and straighten it and then start going to the next steps, all right? But for today, I didn't even expect to do this. It was just like I wanted to check out the stave and with those bad knots and see if I could work around them. And I eliminated them. And what's good about this bow is it's not going to be like a 100-pound bow for like my friend Marko. It's going to be like a 35-pound bow for Christine. So it's going to work out. All right, more to be continued in a couple of days. I think it's going to rain, so I got a little break. And then back to work on this. Okay, every day you wake up is a good day, okay? Try to make the best of it. Okay, good morning. This is day 2 of trying to make a bow out of this yew stave. And yesterday I cut a lot of the knots out and I kind of rough shaped it into a pattern that could be a bow. And there's a problem that, you know, there was so many knots. Here's a knot here. And this particular knot, from what I could tell, goes in 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to have to change the limb design in order to make it work. So you normally with these yew bows, from what I've seen, the shape of the limb is like a yew. Okay, it's rounded belly, and the back of the bow is the softwood. But with this, and I normally taper the limbs like the last 18 inches on these bows, I may have to make a weird design. If I'm able to trim this out, I may have thin limbs on both ends come down to a certain point, and then from that point flare out. And I'll have to leave them a little thicker because when you tiller these, and tillering is to get them to the bows to bend even. It's like if you had 3 guys picking up a log and one guy wasn't picking up the log in the middle, the other two ends are working really hard. So you want each inch of the log to bend to work together so it don't break. You want a nice smooth bend. And if you make it too narrow and it's wider down here, okay, what happens is, if you made it the same thickness where it was thinner, it would be flexing too much because it's narrower. And then the same thickness down here where it's wider will be stiffer. So we got to play with it. But I'm going to try and trim this knot out. It goes in at least 1/4 inch. And that might be the weird design, is to have straight limbs come down, if I can eliminate this knot, and then taper them. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so what I did was I took a little thin veneer, like less than 1/8 off, to see how the knot tapered in. And you can see that there's, between the sapwood here and the knot, there's no room. Now I took it off. Now we got 1/4 inch, okay? So now I'm going to take it to the sander and sand it a little more and see how far I go down. Now, once again, with the yew wood, you can't breathe in these sandings, right? They're no good for you. So make sure your mask is tight, you wear eye protection, and I'm going to go over to the belt sander and see if I can taper this down and try to put a bigger gap so we have a little bigger space. A little space from the sapwood to the knot will make the knot disappear, which would even be better. All right, so that's the next step. Okay, since I sheared off that veneer and I sanded it, now I got a lot more room between the sapwood and the top of that knot. Okay, so 1/2 inch is pretty strong. You know, it'd make like a 40-pound bow probably. So I'm hoping that this would be enough for the 35-pound limbs, that space. So I'm going to basically just shape it, take the saw marks off. And what I could do after I straighten it out, if I need a little more power or speed, I may heat up and recurve, put a slight little recurve, or what they call the flip tip, on the end of this, all right? So like I said, it's not a standard design. It's a design made by necessity, you know, with knots and stuff. So I'll show you in a little while what it looks like. I've been checking with a line to see how the tips to tip, and that the center line goes across the handle. Okay, so I'm gonna have really nice thin tips, which will be a little faster. I didn't sand that other end, so it looks thicker, but I'm gonna sand it now. I just wanted to show you the progress. Once I sand this end narrow as this end, I'm going to lay out the bow thickness and trim it, because before I do anything else, I have to straighten out the twist in this limb. So it's coming along. You never know with these. They say the perfect bow is almost broken. Well, hopefully this one will make it. Well, with all the knots, and as I sanded down, the knots turned to some cracks. I had to make a very thin bow. Okay, rounded back, kind of like a longbow, like a English longbow. How they round it, they round the back, you know. And took down enough sapwood, you know, the best I could. There was some thin spots, some thick spots. I brought it down to where I think it's kind of safe. Okay, and what I got to do now is I'm gonna have to take the twist out, and because of the sapwood, I'm not going to steam it. I'm going to heat it. So I'm going to put it on the back set jig, and I'm going to clamp it the best I can, see how much it gives, and try to straighten it out. And if I get it somewhere straight without cracking it, then the next step will be tillering it. Look, I got some movement in it, not a lot. You know, it's still gonna, there's a lot of weight to take off and flex to come out. Okay, to be continued. These limbs are twisted pretty bad. So I have this back set jig I made, and it's kind of flat on the top, and then it tapers down. So what I did was I clamped this on, and I actually used leverage at first. It was so twisted, I had this clamp like this and some weights hanging on it, so it would twist it to where it was supposed to be. And as I hit it, I was able to take the clamp off and smash it flush on this back set jig. So I'm letting it cool now, and it's going to have some rebound, but I did take a big twist out, and as you can see, this one here has a big dip, a big twist. I'm going to flip it around, and this is going to be the challenging side. And once I get it straight, I'm going to put string grooves in, cut some string grooves in, and I'm going to put it on the tillering board. And I know I got to do a lot of weight reduction because, believe it or not, it's still very heavy. And do some sanding around the edges. And like I said, once you take some weight down, you got to make sure the edges around it, you have this grain lift up. The grain pops up. So it still could break, and we still can make a bow, but it was a real bad piece of wood. And as I went down into the knots had some cracks. I didn't bother videotaping. It was kind of frustrating, but I think I got the kinks kind of worked out, and it's got a round shape like a English longbow on the belly. The belly is the part of the bow that faces your belly, and we'll see what happens. Okay, once it gets cool for a while, I'm going to sit down and relax because of my knee surgery, and I'm going to flip it around, and then I'm going to have at the other side. Okay, I definitely expect some spring back, but let's see what we got here. All I want to do is straighten them. And because of the design, I really think I'm ruling out trying to attempt to put any kind of recurve end on it. I think we're going to just stick with a plain old longbow. I'm curious to see how the sapwood held up with the heat on the belly. I'm going to find out right now. Let's see. Okay, look. Straightened it out really nice, see? Nice and straight. I'm looking at the end grain. According to the end grain, it could go a little bit more. But this side here now is it's got a bad twist in it, and we're going to straighten this out next. So I'm going to stop the video here, and we're going to attempt to straighten this out with heat. And then what we'll do is we're going to put string grooves in, try to make it even first, then put string grooves in, and see if we can tiller it. Hopefully it won't break. But like I said, every stave that I've got has been knotty, it's been terrible, it's been garbage staves. So make the best out of it, okay? Oh, the hat. Yeah, you see the hat? It's cooking out here. It's like 80 degrees, and I'm just keeping myself a little cool. Okay, I have the other side clamped now, and it's not clamped totally tight. I don't want to break nothing. I don't want to pop any grain. I'm going to heat it up, back and forth, and then clamp it flush, and then heat the surface again, okay? I'm going to give a little heat treatment like I did with the other side. And then we'll see what we got. Maybe a little evening of the limbs, cut string grooves, and we'll see what happens next. I don't think I'm going to get to tiller it today. I'm just, my knee's acting up a little bit. Okay, as much as I enjoyed sitting, it's time to take the clamps off the second side here. Hopefully we get a nice level spring back like we did on the other one. We'll see how much I got to take off to even the limbs. Okay, look. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, let me look at it down here. As it is, it looks like that the string will go from one end across the handle to the other end, even though this end has a little curve to it. Has a little curve. I may have to straighten that out a little bit. But looking at the material, I want to try and get the material kind of even. It is kind of even, actually. I'm going to just sand it, round it a little bit, cut the string grooves in, and see what it looks like. Got to put all these clamps and this backset jig away first. So, okay, I put string grooves on, and you have to fine tune them once you put the string on. You can look at the string and see how it hangs on. You may have to lower one side a little bit. But where the handle is, okay, see where the handle is? You put a 45 down like this towards the handle and draw a pencil line. Okay, both sides. Then I use a tile saw and I cut along the line. Then I also, what I do is after I cut that line, I put it on the opposite side to make sure the line on the other side is just about the same. Okay, so once I have that cut, that initial line cut, I have a rat tail file. Okay, the rat tail file is a little round and aggressive, and I go and open up the throat where the string goes. Okay, then I have a chainsaw file which kind of polishes it, and once again you have to lay the string in to see how it lays, whether it's crooked or not. And if it's crooked, the higher side you'll lower a little bit, because this is all literally dead wood. It's decoration. It's going to be your, you know, your end. So the pressure is down here on the limb. Okay, the pressure's on the limb. So one side's higher, you'll lower it a little bit until you get the string looking like it sits nice. So I'm kind of pretty much done for today. I'm going to go get a string though. Curiosity's got the best of me. I'm going to put a string on and just see what it looks like. Okay, this bow is the closest to a broom handle that I ever made. And I couldn't help but do a little exercise and see how many pounds I can get it at. I see that that side's bending a lot and that side's not bending at all. All right, this is going to be a really lightweight bow. I may have to make it a little shorter to increase the pounds. It's 15 at 11. So I'm going to take that side down a little bit and refill it. Okay, we took some weight off that upper limb. See how it's bending. Gotta take a little more off the top limb. And what I'm going to wind up doing is shortening the bow up to increase the weight. But I'm just going to keep going for a while, exercise a little bit. I made the bow 68 from 72 inches. And we're going to exercise the limbs a little, see how it is. That top limb still isn't bending enough. I got to take more wood out of the middle. So I just exercise it a little bit to get it used to the bending. You never want to draw it past the target weight. And the target weight is going to be 30, so we're only going down to 20, which is like 18 inches. Really don't look too bad. It's got to bend a little more. All right, I'm going to take it off. I'm going to work on the outer limb a little bit there. Maybe that outer limb a little bit. And then we'll see what we got for a pound. Okay, it's 66 inches. Filled it down to where I got a string on it. Exercised it a bit. at 28 inches, it's 31 pounds. So there we go, we got our 31-pound bow. Looking good. Looking good, we got a 31-pound bow. Very nice. Very nice. All I gotta do is shape a handle some other day, not today, and cut a shelf in it when I'm not tired. Okay, it looks pretty good. I don't have a shelf cut into it, but I'm just gonna fire an arrow. There's a piece of shaving in the grass there. Just gonna pull it back just to see how it shoots. Just went over it. Shoots nice, not a lot of hand shock. All right, I'm done for today. I think I'm gonna shape the tips and put everything away. And then the next time I'll make a grip and a shelf, and this bow will be all set to shoot. Okay, as tired as I was, I had to finish it. Got a little shelf in there. Okay, it's a small grip. Shape the grip. Okay, see how it is? Your thumb goes down on an angle like that. Grip. And got some little arrows here. And I'm going to try shooting that little piece of shaving on the grass over there just to see how it flies. And look at that. It shot right on top of it. See? See the little shaving there? Okay. See that shaving? Okay, shot right on top of it, so it shoots good. Okay, it just needs a little light sanding and a finish coat. And the bow is done. There you go, Christine, here's your bow. Marko, your stave is made into a bow for her. Pillow's good. All right, around 31 pounds at your draw length it should be.